friends. We are here with Brian Lujan and myself, Veronica Medina, with New Gen Home Lending, and we are creating some series of videos to let everyone know a little bit about our loan officers. So we have some questions that we want to ask from Brian. So let's start, Brian.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Like, how did you get started in being as a loan officer?
Yeah, so my background is actually in education. I have a master's degree in education, and for everybody that doesn't know, Veronica is my mother-in-law. I'm married to her wonderful daughter, so I got into becoming a loan officer through you and just kind of being exposed to, what you do and seeing what you do for a career, and I thought it was super interesting, and so I was, privileged enough to kind of get into that space and have some guidance and mentorship
the mortgage
through you.
Chatter.
Yeah.
So, can you, since becoming a loan officer, what are some of the clients that you typically have helped, and how have you helped them achieve their homeownership dream?
So, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, people that haven't actually ever gone through the home buying process. They're kind of curious as to what it even takes, how to get there. So a lot of that is just having those conversations, and it kind of ties back into my background of education, being able to educate people on what the process is like, what they need to do, how they can achieve that goal, and basically what is my part in helping them get to that point.
Yeah, because I know they have a lot of questions throughout the process. And some of the daily routines or habits that you find essential for your success, both on the personal and business level.
So daily habits and routines, Monday through Friday, I'm starting every day off going to the gym, waking up at 5 a.m. just to get that, mental mindset, push that out of the way. It feels good to start that way. In the car, I'm always listening to something that can educate myself. So I'm listening to a lot of podcasts that deal with the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, trying to kind of stay up to date that way so that, wherever I'm going, I'm listening, I'm consuming some type of content for myself. So that way I'm kind of up to date and I can help others be in the know of what's going on as well.
Yeah, that's a good. So what do you enjoy outside of work or to unwind and stay motivated?
Well, going back, the gym is obviously one. I like to be active. I also am an assistant coach to the best wrestling team in Kern County and one of the best in the state, Bakersfield High School. I'm shouting out the drillers. I also enjoy training jiu-jitsu on my own, just being active. It's really, I think, the best thing for my own mental health. I think, and then hanging out with my wife and my kids and just doing the whole dad family thing. Stuff. That's always fun.
And then a few more questions. What are some of the misconceptions people have about the mortgage process?
I think people are really intimidated by the mortgage process because I don't think really the common societal member doesn't really understand what it entails. And I think they get intimidated and think that it's a lot more than it truly is. And I think, our company, we do a really good job of having the technology to streamline that process to make it as simple for the consumer as possible. And that way we can kind of get them where they need to be as painlessly as possible.
Yeah.
I also think that people think it's really expensive to start the mortgage process when in reality it almost costs near to nothing to even apply for a mortgage and to get us to review your financials, see what that looks like, and see whether or not you get pre-approved. That is almost essentially free, and it's really beneficial to people who are curious as to if they qualify or not.
Yeah, or at least what to do to get from A to B. Can you walk us through the mortgage process, your application process? How do you go about with your clients?
So it kind of ties back into, like I said, my background of education. I really want to know what their goals are, so I really like to try to connect, get on a personal level. Communication is essential. So talking to them, what are they wanting to do? when are they wanting to do it, and what is my part in helping them get there? How can I help you get to where you need to be? So are you trying to buy an investment? Are you trying to buy a house? Are you trying to do a second? Whatever that goal is of yours, I want to know what it is so that I can find out what my role is in getting you there. Now, once we've established that, the process is fairly simple. We, send you your application link, you fill out all your information, which you can do from the comfort of your couch, and then upload your financial documents that we also send you a link to just upload all those straight to the portal. We review them, and then within 24 to 48 hours, we can let you know whether or not you're approved or not. So it's a fairly simple process.
Unless there's like a little
couple hiccups here and there, but
then you need a little bit more homework.
But that's what our job is for, is to get you through that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we got plenty of questions for you. What advice would you give first-time home buyers who are thinking about getting a mortgage?
So I think the biggest thing is, I'll just kind of tell a personal story of my own situation. Is we bought our first house in 2018, and we knew from the start this was not the house we're going to stay in for the long run. We knew going into it, this was our house to get into the game of owning real estate. And I think that a lot of first-time home buyers get set on, well, I'm buying a house, I want it to be this grand piece of real estate that I'm going to live in forever, which in reality, what we want to do is get you in the game so that you can start building equity, you own an asset, it's appreciating, and then we can talk about, okay, now what's the next step to get you into a different home if that's your goal. So really just having an open mind as to what first-time home buying, I think, is. You want to buy that, essentially, that starter home they talk about. Your
stepping stone to the next home.
Yeah, we bought our first home. We lived in it for 13 months before we sold it and used the equity from the appreciation, the loan buy-down, all this stuff to get into the home we now live in that isn't considered a more desirable neighborhood, something we could see ourselves living in for the long term. So I think it's just being open-minded to the process and understanding that the first home doesn't have to be the forever home.
Yeah, that's true. And another advantage to that is you're buying this home with as little out of pocket as possible, and then you can convert it into an investment home where, like, if you were to go out flat out, just go out and buy an investment home, then you'll need 20% down. So you could actually build a portfolio over time, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're.
Yeah, and that's a great way to earn an extra income.
So let me see what about what trends are you seeing in the mortgage market right now? How do you think the market will evolve in the coming months or years?
So the trends right now, I think, are that rates have kind of stayed unchanged for a while. We're seeing those typical, mid sixes, those rates that haven't really fluctuated as much as people thought they were going to. And that's kind of similar to housing prices. Inventory hasn't really gotten much bigger. So if anything, housing prices are staying the same, if not getting higher, and rates are kind of unchanging. Now, with that, though, I think the way it's going to evolve in the coming months is I do believe that rates will come down here soon, which creates a different kind of scenario because you're going to see lower rates, which creates more competition, which creates potential home price increases. A lot of people are waiting for those rates to come down, and with that waiting comes, the competition, the influx of potential new home buyers, which supply outweighs demand. Vice versa. Demand outweighs supply, so the home prices increase, and that's kind of where I see it going.
So how do interest rates affect a client's mortgage options, and what are some tips for locking in a good rate?
Well, interest rates are key, I think, in a lot of different ways. One is obviously turns into affordability. If the rate's a little higher, that kind of affects how much you qualify for. So ideally, a lower rate would be, best if you're looking to maximize your home buying potential. The other part of that is how much can you afford monthly? So we really want to be conscious of what you're comfortable paying. Just because you qualify for a certain number doesn't mean you're comfortable paying that certain number. So the rate obviously impacts that as well. I think it also impacts people's, fear of entering the market when rates are higher. But I think ways to lock in a good rate is obviously we need to make sure your credit's in order. Your higher credit score means that you're more reliable on making payments, which means banks are more comfortable lending you money. So you get a more favorable interest rate. I think also there's options out there too. We've got temporary rate buy downs. There's ways to have seller paid buy downs. So there's things that we can do to try and help get that rate better and lower it and lock it in.
Or a permanent buy down.
Yeah, but I think it's just kind of being aware of your credit, your income, making sure that all that's in order for your own personal ways to kind of impact that rate.
Yeah. So another one, boy, we got a lot of questions. So how can a prospective buyer best prepare for the current market condition?
I think just being ready for when you think you can afford to buy a home. And since the current market conditions just are what they are, again, it kind of goes back to being open-minded.
And being ready yourself.
Yeah, and having your down payment ready, your closing costs ready, your credit's in order, you don't have a lot of debts, just making sure you personally are ready so that if you're like ready to take that next step of, okay, I'm ready to look to buy a home, you've got everything in line and we're not trying to clean that up during, minute, before. Yeah. So we want to kind of be ready to go and prepare yourself.
And another one would be, what are common mistakes that you see people make when shopping for a mortgage, and how can they avoid them?
Keeping $15,000 cash under their mattress is a big one, I think. I think the biggest thing is that, I feel like we've run into that quite a few times is people are like, yeah, I've got the money for a down payment. I've got closing costs. And it's like, okay, well, where is it? It's in a safe in my closet. Well, that's not going to help us in this moment. That's one of the times cash is not king. We have to be aware of that.
So prepare. That's what goes back to preparing, right?
Yeah.
Like possibly like once they meet with you, you guys can powwow and say, okay, you need to put that money in the bank account and let it season so that,
we can utilize it.
45, 60 days from now, you can start shopping once it's season. So, yeah.
That also just making sure, like we kind of went back to some other mistakes, is not, being in delinquency in your payments, having your credit severely affected, maybe taking breaks on, just co-signing on loans. Yeah, that's a big one. So there's just some things, I guess we wouldn't necessarily call them mistakes, but, maybe not being in the correct position for us to help you get there as soon as you want.
And can you share some some ways of savings for a down payment, or improving their credit before applying for a mortgage?
So improving your credit is, there's a lot of different ways we can do that. Making sure obviously the big one is paying your bills on time, making sure that those lines are being paid on time and consistently. Making sure you're utilizing your different lines of credit cards, loans, whatever you have going on. If there's, you don't have to have a ton of them, but, diversity in your credit lines. Also, if you don't have any credit, there's different ways to do it. You've got secure credit cards in which you can have a little bit more tightening of it so you're not overspending or anything like that. There's ways to utilize utility bills to improve your credit score, which is a really good one.
Or rental history, yeah.
And then also income for down payment, or having money for a down payment. I think, just creating a goal, putting money aside, saving up. Tax returns are a really good time to do that. The other one is that, a lot of people don't know is that you can get gift funds from family members where they can gift you the money for your down payment. So then that way, if you've got a family member that might have some money set aside for you.
Yeah, we see that a lot, like the parents gifting their adult children down payment. We do see that a lot. How about how do you help clients determine the best mortgage product for their specific financial situation?
Well, I think everybody's financial situation is different. It's, you don't rarely run into ones that are similar. So that's the beauty of the mortgage industry is there's so many options out there. We've got different loan programs, access to a lot of different ways to help people. So it just kind of depends. Once we've looked at your financial situation, maybe you're self-employed and your taxes don't reflect your income. We have products for that. If you just are W-2 salary employee, we have products for that, or if you do need a little help. Like an
investor.
Yeah, we've got investment options. Or if you need a little bit of down payment assistance, there's options for that. So it's really just kind of looking at each case individually, knowing that, their situation is unique in their own way. And the best thing about it is that we have a solution for almost
Yeah.
anything that we come into. So I think that's the best
true.
part.
And if they're not ready then we can help
We
them
have a
get
game
ready.
plan
Yeah.
for a solution, which is nice as well.
So I'm going to keep going down our list.
You're good.
How do you support the local community outside of your mortgage services?
Well, I love just supporting local businesses, however that may be, whether it's going to a farmer's market and connecting with people, or, going to local restaurants. Again, like I said, I'm at Bakersfield High School and coaching there. And, so I like to tap into what we have going on here locally. I've lived here about 10 years now, 10 years now. So it's
a
just
long time now.
Yeah. Consider myself a part of the community now. So it's just kind of finding ways, and other ways to maybe collaborate with other community businesses that are locally owned, seeing ways that we can kind of bounce ideas off each other, even if it's something that's not related to real estate. It's nice to be able to support other businesses, and then, it always comes full circle, whether or not it's, in financial ways or just exposure ways, however that may be.
Yeah, true. How about how can homeowners and prospective buyers work with you, not only as a mortgage broker, but also a trusted financial resource?
Well, I think it's a pretty great way to kind of start things off is when we look at credit reports and see what is your financial standing over the course of your history. And so it's, we can look at ways and say, hey, if we pay this down, we can boost your score this much. If we attack this debt, we can, find ways to help you in that sense. Talking to people about different types of accounts that they have in their own personal banking. Is your money sitting in a savings account that's not working for you? Or can we tap into a high yielding savings account? Is there other ways we can increase your money to help you achieve your financial goals? The other thing is that, staying in contact with people after we've closed a transaction. That's one of the biggest things, is that once, I don't like to just, act like that we're done.
Yeah.
It's, I communicate. I have clients that I closed over a year ago that I'm texting pretty frequently now, and we aren't even opening another transaction, but we're still
You're
talking.
Checking in with them,
seeing how they're
you're
doing. I like to see how their house is going, and so then, if the time makes sense for them to refinance, then great, we can support them that way and lower their monthly mortgage payment, which in turn gives them more freedom with their financial situation.
Up, like do a move up.
Yeah, find. We just recently did one of those too. Finding ways to tap into their equity and help them, build assets, whatever it may be. So there's ways to kind of look at things more than just increasing your income. I think there's a lot of different ways that people don't understand, and I think that's a great way to help them as well.
That's true. What about let's see, what's one of the most rewarding experiences you've had in your career as a mortgage broker?
So, it's always great to help, especially first-time home buyers that have never experienced it, obviously, achieve that goal and get the keys to their house. But one that sticks out to me is one that I didn't even, help her buy a home, because she never ended up buying a home. But what happened was that she had applied for a mortgage previously, got denied, and it never worked out. So she came to our office, and I sat with her, and she brought her documents in, and we worked through it. And then while she was sitting there, I got her pre-approved. And when I told her, she just started crying. And so it was kind of, just knowing that she was so excited for that, because she didn't think it was even possible, then to see that she got pre-approved. And
it was emotional.
Yeah, for her, and unfortunately, the housing she was looking at, there was some situations with the house, but, at the end of the day, it was just so great to see that she was so excited about achieving something, or being at the cusp of achieving something that, many people want to do. And so, it's just kind of knowing that you have a part in something so
it's like big milestone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Since we do this every day, it doesn't get old, but we do this every day. But for that one person, you don't buy a house every year.
Yeah.
How do you handle a difficult case or clients with unique financial situations? Or can you maybe give us an example of a difficult situation and how you handle it?
Well, I think, obviously this always just comes down to communication. We always need to just be on the same page. Loan officer to client, loan officer to realtor partners. It's just knowing that, again, each situation is unique. Something that, I ran into recently was on my own, I'm a human too. We missed a large cash deposit into a bank account, and it was just a situation where it's okay, well, how do we approach this now? Finding solutions. And one of the things that I always have heard, and I feel like is true, is that if you're working with a loan officer and you're not hearing from them and it's moving along smoothly, then that's a good person to work with, because that means that you don't know if there's a fire going on. You don't know if there's an issue going on, because they're taking care of everything behind the scenes. And so I think it's just knowing that if there's a difficult situation that is encountered, just knowing that, okay, there's got to be a solution, and we're going to find the solution, whether it takes a couple days and a couple different, avenues. It's just knowing that it's putting a puzzle together.
Yeah.
So.
And if you need to bring the client in the know, then you do it then, but you don't want to stress them out on it.
With your things that you need to take care of.
So what are your goals for your business over the next few years?
Well, obviously, I'm always looking to grow my personal business. I would love to, increase volume as things go on, help more families. I have been enjoying tapping into the equity tap-in market as well. That's been, a fun time to help, homeowners tap into their current equity
and grow
their own real estate portfolios. People wanting to buy rentals or them wanting to build on their own property. It's been a good experience in that sense. Also, just kind of connecting with more realtor partners out there, getting in front of more potential people to work with. I love talking to people and love working with people. So
you have a great personality.
It's fun to interact with all different types of people, especially here in the community. I think it's we have a lot of great professionals out here.
Yeah.
So it's fun to meet a lot of different people.
How about how can listeners connect with you if they're interested in learning more or working with you? Can you share your contact information?
Yeah, so I'll look this way. So there's a lot of different ways to contact me if you want to. My personal cell phone number is 559-355-2571. You can email me at Brian, Brian, at newgenhomelending.com. My Instagram is also pretty active, especially I'm trying to provide free value of mortgage content on there. It's at BRLUJAN. That's BR Lujan. And you can DM me there. You can text me. You can call me. My phone is always in my pocket and ready to be answered. So I would love to connect with people around the community that are looking to get into this.
Yes, so that's it, guys. We just wanted to introduce our loan officers so you guys can get to know them. And thank you, Brian, for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. See you next time.